and just kind of like overarching what the legal system, how it did you wrong in many ways.
Yes. So, my rape occurred almost 13 and a half years ago. So it was 2008. I had just graduated from college, and, some of the things that I went through are still happening over a decade later. Yeah. We've seen so many unfortunate examples with USA Gymnastics, Harvey Weinstein.
Yes.
And just I feel like it's just sexual assault and sexual violence is just constantly
there's constantly getting out.
Yes. And, it's really, I think that we have made great strides, but there are so many things that are still the same, that exact same experiences that I went through 13 years ago. And, for me, I had this relief when I showed up to the sexual assault unit in downtown DC. I thought to myself, okay, I am safe now. I am physically safe. I am about to report this crime, and they are going to help me and tell me that everything is okay, and that we are going to try to identify and locate this man who did this to me. Unfortunately, it was not that way at all. I began to feel very unsafe. It was a very unsafe environment for me, because I was essentially interrogated by the sexual assault detectives who were taking my story. And this went on for hours. So to, kind of paint the picture, and I don't want to give too much away, too much detail, but I was still in the clothes of that I was wearing when the attack happened. I wanted to preserve evidence. I didn't eat anything. I didn't drink anything. I had been up all night long. And finally, when I made it to the police department, I had that sense of, oh my gosh, like, I'm so relieved. Like, I can breathe. And that was,
they just kept re-traumatizing you and
correct.
Re-traumatizing you. And
unfortunately, it was just the beginning of consistent re-traumatizing and consistent devastation, and really just being so let down from the justice system. So, in addition to not being believed, there were just so many things, so many different pieces of the justice system that essentially failed me throughout my legal journey, which lasted about 4 years, from, how long my rape kit sat there, to, not being believed by the police, to, some things that went on with my attacker. And, all in all, it just, I wanted to speak to the justice system, because it is so backwards in so many regards. And like I said, I think, we've made strides. There have been bills passed in the state of North Carolina specifically, to really get a hold on the rape kit backlog and things like that, which would have tremendously benefited me at the time of my attack. But those little steps are still not enough. There is still this whole aspect of re-victimization that is just so grueling, and it lends itself to why victims don't report. And I don't know what I think the more things that went wrong, the more motivated I was to keep going. Because I just was so enraged by all of the misconduct that happened throughout my journey. And again, all of that is detailed in the book. I
wanted to punch the defense lawyer. Through the pages of your book, I wanted to punch him.
Yes, I mean, we are talking every level, from police officer to.
Oh, I was rooting you on that one phone call.
I mean, you name it.
Get him.
Yes, I mean, you name it, it happened. And, but all of that to say, you know, whether, I have always said, whether you decide to report or not, either choice is okay. There are, because I think a lot of victims will get the question, well, did you go to the police? Why didn't you report it? And I always make a point to say that we should never be asking victims that, because again, it goes back to, this is your story. You are allowed, fully and able to do whatever you want with your story. And to be perfectly honest, reporting was a disaster for me. It did eventually help me in some ways in the end. And I think that it does help to bring light and awareness to the things that need to be changed. But I 100% understand why victims do not report.